Good evening, everyone. My name is Sheryar. I'm your co-host of Courtside YYC, and today we have Coach Tony along my side. He is from Calgary Storm Basketball Club, who will be joining me to have our very first guest of the show. In today's show, we have Reagan Wood, who is the head coach of Men's Concordia University Basketball, men's basketball, and also he is also a director with Alberta Basketball as well. He is right now currently coaching the men's provincial as well too, with his involvement in there. And we would like to have him on and speak to him during this time and about basketball and how to adjust and give us the tips and his insights. And Coach, if you want to talk about your relationship with Mr. Reagan, what?
Yes, I know Coach Reagan because he was coaching the provincial team as one of the coaching staff in the Alberta basketball with my son Alonso, and that's how I got to know him. And very nice gentleman. And
Yes.
on the other line.
Yeah, and good evening, Coach. How are you? And thank you so much for your time and having us and being here with us today.
Yeah, no problem. Good to be with you guys.
Tell us a little bit about yourself. How are you doing, and how are you adjusting to these really strange times that we have?
Well, I think adjusting is kind of an interesting word because as a coach, you are used to being at the gym, used to being around your players, and we're just not. And so it's getting used to, again, doing a lot of these kind of things and video chatting and talking with people in different ways.
Okay.
Adjusting's odd, and we're just taking this as it comes, and
that's right. Yeah.
Hoping that we see a positive turn and are able to get back on the court sooner than they're anticipating for us right now. So.
Yes, yeah. And how are you and your family doing, Coach?
Family's good. Just had dinner with mom and sister and niece and nephew and brother-in-law and brother and everybody. So I worked on my 4-year-old nephew's jump shot this evening.
Nice.
Bike soup, so I was able to scratch the coaching itch, which was good. So he made on the little tyke scoop 25 out of 28. So
nice. That's good.
Like I still got the touch. So,
That's awesome.
Not bad form for a 4-year-old. We're working on it.
Nice. No, thank you. Thanks for sharing that with us. And so we have some questions, and we hope we don't mind you answering a few of those questions that Coach Tony and I have prepared. The first one is, as a Alberta basketball board member, how are the clubs in Alberta coping with the coronavirus in play? Because right now it is supposed to be the spring season, right?
Yeah, spring season. Just to clarify, I'm not a board member. I'm a staff member.
Staff member? Okay.
All right. So staff member. Okay. I work in the coach education and technical director roles there with Alberta basketball. So again, trying to help coaches progress with their NCCP certification.
Okay.
And a lot of things along those lines. But as it relates to the club season, I'm sure it's very difficult. Again, we have such a rich basketball culture here in Alberta with so many great people out there doing so many wonderful things and providing and creating opportunities for young people. And right now they just don't get to do that. And the number of tournaments that have been canceled or postponed, and I'm sure at this point just canceled more than postponed,
yes,
is difficult. And it's hard to see people not getting those opportunities and missing out. And it's had an effect on Alberta Summer Games for this year, the U15, U17 National Championships. I was going to be coaching that again this summer. Those have been canceled. And again, it seemed like such an early thing. Well, we're going to start canceling things in August or July. And it seems like, well, that's such a long ways away. But that's the choices that have been made by the people that are in positions there. And it's difficult, but it's our job as leaders in basketball to continue to stress that people continue to stay as positive as they can, even though it's tough. And I wouldn't doubt if there's some kids that are feeling pretty sad and out of it when it comes to not being able to get out on the court with their friends. And we hope that they're finding opportunities to stay active and to engage with coaches and teammates as much as possible. We've put together a good video series ourselves with Alberta basketball. We're going to be doing some more things along the same lines that you guys are doing here to provide outreach and opportunities for people to train at home and on their own through our Hoops at Home series with Alberta basketball. And again, we have to continue to be innovative and find ways to stay engaged with the game as much as possible until we can get back in the gym.
That's true. Yeah. And do you have anything to add to that, Coach Tony?
Yeah, it's really hard on us. It's as long, it's just trying to get some practice going, and we're just waiting for the government's doctor, to see where we're at. And there's some promising. If you correct me wrong, Coach Reagan, and hopefully things will work out soon. And we've been hearing a lot of things, and hopefully those information could be right. Then we can get it started soon.
Yeah, definitely. Again, the numbers are different all over the province as it relates to COVID-19, and other parts of the country are starting to see some real positive steps with plans to restart to gradually reopen things. And again, I know there's been some suggestions of when things might happen in Alberta, and hopefully those timelines get accelerated as we see improved numbers, summer coming around, success of reopening plans in other provinces. But yeah, we're going to be beholden to what the government lays out for us. So
yeah, and it's really interesting that you say like it really depends on like the region and where you're at, because one province cannot one province cannot take an approach on like something another province have done, because I mean everything is like so different, right? And everywhere else is just so unique, and how it's being taken care of, like their rules and regulation and stuff. So I don't think we can take something from somebody else and do it in our own province. You gotta have to find an adjustment.
We can borrow knowledge and
Yeah.
things, but it'll all depend. Again, the population centers in Saskatchewan are different than the population centers in Alberta. Edmonton and Calgary are bigger cities than Regina and Saskatoon, and their case numbers have been lower, but it's all relative to population size. And, again, there's been some hot spots in the Calgary region and south, and whereas Edmonton's numbers for a city of our size have actually been really good. I think we're under 225 active cases up here total, which, for a general metropolitan area of 1.1 million, seems like we're managing it pretty well. And I know a lot of the outbreaks in Calgary are in very specific locations, and that's, and again, but yeah, we're going to have to follow the medical advice that we're given, and
that's right.
And stick to it. I don't think anyone wants to get any of those fines that they're talking about.
Yes, exactly. All right, let's stick with basketball. And then, so what we're going to talk right now about is for the national championship. What are your intakes of if it's possible? Is it going to be pushed back, or is it to a point where
the national championships for Canada basketball have already been canceled for August, which was obviously disappointing. I was going to be coaching the 17U team this year. With Shane Midford and Brandon Brock. I was really looking forward to working with Shane and Brandon, and we had had 2 rounds of tryouts. We hadn't had our final assessment yet for Team Alberta. And again, there were so many great athletes that we had on our list. We were having a hard time just getting it down to, about 20, 22 guys to bring to final tryouts, let alone trying to pick a final 12. So we were really excited about the group that we were going to be able to work with this summer. And again, looking forward to 2021, where it's a Canada Games year, the group that we were going to, be able to carry forward into that event, which obviously is still scheduled to happen and planned for 2021. And I have no doubt that it will. But again, it would have been nice to coach some of those players this summer for the nationals, so that we could build towards,
of course,
for that event. And it's disappointing because they're age group specific championships, that there are going to be some players who just miss out on the opportunity to go. And that's sad, and that's disappointing for them.
It sure is, yeah. Yeah, no, exactly. And a lot of people like talk about like the professionals or like the college, but there's absolutely such a deep root and understanding when it comes to like, the youth basketball, because, like you said, age specific tournaments, and it makes a huge difference on those kids' life when they're working towards that,
Yeah. And again, it takes, it's how they talk about raising children. It takes a village to raise children. It takes a village to get these players to where they want to be. Again, they work with community coaches, with club coaches, provincial team coaches, and so many different people that have an influence and an impact on their game and the work that they put in on their own, their high school coaches, their junior high coaches. I mean, a player over their career will probably have 15, 20 different coaches that all work into shaping and molding them into the player that they become. And again, there's players right now that are just missing out on that direct opportunity to work with their coaches and to improve. So again, it's tough, and I'm sure on the young people even more so than the coaches.
Yes. Okay. On to our next question. You are also a men's head coach of Concordia University in the ACAC League.
That's
And
correct.
how will you be? How will the upcoming season going to look like?
You know, we've put in suggestions, and we're working through all possible scenarios. Again, obviously, the hope is that by September that we're ready to go, and that everything's been cleared. That's obviously the best case scenario. There's scenarios of not really getting things in full swing until October, and league not starting till November. And then worst case scenario of league not starting till potentially January. And then worst case scenario of no season at all. But if you follow the ACAC on social media and press releases, they just put out a statement this week. They are committed to having a season in whatever shape or form that may take. And so we will be, as a conference, united in working towards making sure that our athletes are able to get on the court, on the field, on the rink, whatever sport that they'll be participating in. Our league is committed to making that happen. So we will find a way to have a season and make it a great one. And again, it will be unique, and it'll be a season we all remember, I'm sure, because there will be differences and changes in protocols that will be different in the past, and there's things that we'll have to adjust to. And I know that by the time September rolls around, if we haven't been able to get out on the court, that people will be more than willing to do whatever we have to do.
That's right.
To make that happen.
Yeah, we're definitely going to head into a different world and change for sure, especially from what we've learned through this hiatus, right? So, yeah. My other question is, what do you say to the youth players during this time of the situation? Any youth players?
You know, it's hard. I never personally went through anything like this as a player. I think we're all experiencing this particular type of disruption to our lives for the first time. And again, I don't think there's a magic phrase, but you are going to have to take it a day at a time, and you're going to have to do something productive each day to keep yourself engaged, to keep yourself focused. And there'll be days where you don't feel like doing it, and that's completely understandable, and that's completely okay. Whether the productive thing you do that day is call your coach or call a teammate or talk to your parents just to have them help you out to stay positive when times are tough. That's what I would recommend doing. But one of the best things that I think the young players can do is to stay active, whether it's some ball handling in the driveway, finding, if you don't have the hoop at home, to, go to a park that isn't closed, and, if there's not too many people around, getting a few shots up while still maintaining your appropriate physical distancing while our restrictions are in place. But that physical activity will help their mental state a lot. And again, your coaches will be there for you. Reach out to them. Hopefully the coaches are reaching out back the other way as well, and staying engaged and in touch with their athletes. But again, there's no magic phrase. Say, this is going to be okay. Don't worry, it's going to be over soon. We don't know the answers to those questions.
No, we don't know.
But it will. Here's the thing: it will be over, and we will get to play again. We don't have a date, but we will. And when that time comes, we'll all be excited, and I think we will all appreciate what we get to do as basketball people, whether it's coaching, playing, officiating, organizing, all the different roles that we play in the basketball community. I think we've all, even in these 6 weeks we've been off, come to appreciate more how wonderful it is to just go play basketball.
Yeah. And so, Coach, what have you been doing to keep yourself and mind in charge, or like keep yourself sharp? Because
it's funny. It's in a weird way, things haven't changed much. Like, obviously been working from home, and there's still lots to do there. And like I said, our video series with Alberta basketball. We're going to be doing some upcoming coaching clinics online as well, webinar style ones with some guest speakers. We've got some excellent people lined up that we'll be sharing with you guys this upcoming week. Recruiting has still been very hot, I would say. It's been interesting. I've had more interest from people all over the world this year than in the past few years. That's going to be one of the issues we have to navigate, is can people travel and get into a country, but if they're coming from abroad. And so again, making decisions in that respect. So I've still been very busy with, my day-to-day work with Alberta basketball and my evening work with recruiting and talking with my players. And so in that sense, things are very normal. But the questions that I'm having to answer and the issues we're having to deal with are the things that are different. So the work continues, but what we're talking about as we do that work has changed.
Okay. Your thoughts on NBA, and how do you think it's going to continue when it comes back? Will they continue, or do they have to like make some adjustment and shorten?
It's getting to a point where this season, it's not going to, I don't think any regular season will happen. I think there's probably a way to do some form of playoff. If you've ever had the chance to go to Las Vegas for the Summer League, which I've been fortunate enough to do once, which is a great time. I think there's a way to do it.
Sure.
And I know I saw a recent announcement that cities in the U.S. that have lifted some of their distancing restrictions and stay-at-home orders, those team facilities are going to be allowed to reopen. So I think in June or July we could see some form of playoff. It won't be fair. There's going to be teams that are going to miss out, and that's just the reality. Is, are we worried about being fair, or do we want to see some basketball? And I know all the pro sports leagues are looking at something to get it back, because I think one thing that sports can do for us is that when the time is right, it can be a big part of our healing from this.
Sure.
And I hope that there's the foresight from the people in charge to understand that people are going to need sport, and it's going to be vitally important to our recovery as a society. And I know that we'll be ready to do what we can here in Alberta to make that a reality. And hopefully the NBA and other organizations can do the same. And I know they're working on it. I don't work for the NBA. I wish I did. That'd be a great job. Dream someday to hope, we can all hope for, but I'm sure they will do what's safe and in the best interest of safety. But I think they also know that what they offer is something that can be great for people. If you've watched the NFL draft over the last few days, it had the best ratings ever, just because people were hungry to see anything original, especially from the sports world.
Yes, and perspective was so different, to see every single family, the way they react and talk and communicate with each other. I thought that was very neat. And a lot of experts were saying that, they should do that from moving forward. And if NBA or an NHL can do it, or Major League, baseball can do it. So. Yeah,
and again, every sport has their own unique way of doing it. And I think sometimes we forget that pro sports, like the NBA the NBA finals were on tape delay in the early 80s. Like, even when Bird and Magic were first breaking in, the NBA is not what it is now. But Bird, Magic, obviously Jordan, and I'm sure you guys have been enjoying The Last Dance. Looking forward to a couple more episodes here.
Tomorrow, I believe,
this evening if you're a night owl, and not gonna lie, that might be me tonight. But what the NBA has become and what it can be for us. Very exciting, and obviously what I'm watching in The Last Dance is what made me fall in love with the game of basketball.
That's so true.
Michael Jordan, obviously my favorite player, and no one will ever tell me he's not the greatest, even though somewhere, somehow, someday, someone might come close. I just haven't personally seen him yet. So.
No, that's fair. Yeah. How long have you been involved in basketball?
I have a picture of myself when I was 18 months old playing on a little tyke soup in my grandparents' living room. And I'm pretty sure that hasn't changed since. So, but as a coach, I'm going into my 14th year coaching at the post-secondary level. And it's been a dream come true and an opportunity that I do not take for granted. And it's special. And I've come to appreciate that more and more every year. Just the people you meet and the places you get to go and the things you get to do. And I love to compete. And my life would be very different without basketball. I've invested in my entire life, and especially my adulthood and my career in it, and I will continue to do so. So it's tough to not be able to do it actively right now, but
I can. I was gonna ask you, what can a player, group of youth players, can both male or female, what can they expect when they get to work with you and the programs that you're involved with?
basketball, number one, you have to love basketball, and basketball has to be fun. And those are fun in the game and love of the game have to be there. If those things are there, then the toughness, the competitiveness, the drive will be there, because anytime any of us are compelled to do anything or forced to do something, it's less enjoyable and the love isn't there. And I think anyone that would work with me knows that I love basketball and love what I do, and that comes out in how we coach and what our expectations are. And I'm not a yeller and a screamer at my players. We have real conversations about the real topics that are important, and I find that to be more productive than get on the line and give me 100 sidelines. That doesn't work. That doesn't help players get better. And so we always strive to teach the game of basketball by teaching the game of basketball, not by force or compulsion or discipline. Not that we aren't disciplined, but that we're learning the game of basketball by playing basketball. I think that's the most important thing.
Thank you for that. And what do you have to say about that, Coach Tony? Do you have anything to add on to it?
Well, yeah, everybody has a different style of coaching, and some it's effective that way, and again, like Coach Reagan said, the most important is more the understanding of a player, the communication from a player to a coach, and what kind of job we need to get it done. And everybody has different style. It could be yelling or anything, but the most important is, as long as there's an understanding of communication and to get the job done. And at the same time, they gotta have fun too. And without having fun, it's going to be difficult to go together as a team.
Do you have anything to add to that?
No, Coach Tony's right. I mean, again, there has to always be that open line of communication that goes both ways. And it is tough. I always find, even when you're coaching adults, that two-way communication, sometimes it's always the coach initiating, and sometimes there's players that are really good at initiating a conversation that needs to happen. But making sure that the communication is clear, direct, and as positive as possible, while still giving constructive criticisms where necessary. Because again, if you always just get told you're doing a great job and everything's wonderful, then you're never going to get better and improve. But if you're also conversely only being told, well, you don't do this well, you don't do that well, you're not good with your left, you don't have a good jump shot, player's not going to get better either. They always need to hear some positives mixed in with appropriate constructive coaching criticisms of their games as they progress as players.
Okay. Well, Coach Reagan, we really like to appreciate. Thank you for being here, giving us your time, especially during this time of the year. It means a lot to me personally, because this is my first ever episode with yourself and Coach Tony. So this was much needed for myself and for a lot of people out there. So I want to personally thank you for giving me your time, and I wish you nothing but the best, and hopefully you can get back on the court and pass on the great knowledge that you have acquired over the last numerous decade.
Well, thank you very much. Appreciate the opportunity to come on with you guys and
thank you
and talk basketball. I'm happy to do it anytime.
Thank you, Coach.
All right.
You bet.
Yeah, see you soon.
Have a great night, fellas.
All right.
Thanks. Why don't you tell us about how you are adjusting and the Calgary basketball clubs and the questions and the players and parents reaching out to you about what's ahead. Like Coach Reagan said, it's hard for us to kind of give us the answer to people, because we don't know what is going to happen. We're just kind of all waiting to see what we can or we can't do. But how can you adjust, and what can you tell the parents and the players?
They just got to be patient. It's pretty tough right now with this COVID-19. All we've been doing is trying to get all the kids, get them more exercise. So all I can say, just be patient, stay at home as much as possible, and we do a lot of prayer, that might help a little bit. So, have faith. We just got to let them know that just be patient, and it will come, and, one step at a time. And in the meanwhile, we just, if there's an opportunity to work out at home, even go out for like half an hour outside, make sure nobody's around you, the social distance, and, shoot around and do some exercise. And I think that's probably the best thing to do right now, and until, everything gets sorted out, and having the government, permit us to go to a gym and start practicing. Yeah, that's basically, that's all we can do for now, and just to keep it safe. Because Coach Reagan, like he's been coaching for a long time, and a lot of knowledge in basketball. Is well respected in the community with Alberta, Alberta
Yes.
basketball. He's actually a couple of years ago his team won it a couple of times in a championship in ACAC provincial championship.
Okay.
And he's well known coach. Sure.
Okay. Have you ever worked with him in basketball? Like, his style of, matching your style, or have you ever done that?
Well, it's a little bit different.
Yeah.
He's coaching the ACAC. Of course, I just coach more the youth, the high school kids. It's everybody got their own style to be successful. Like he said, he's not a yeller or anything, but it's a communication more important. I mean, not everything you have to yell, but again, he's coaching men's, and I coach younger group. It's a little bit different. Our discipline is different, but again, the most important is the communication with the players. What's the understanding? How to play together. That's just how it works. We have to look at the same route.
That's right. Yeah. As long as that communication is there, I think, when a kid or a player, gets the message across, I think it's just how you deliver it. And as long as you deliver it, if it's an effective way, and you just have to kind of approach every player and kid differently, right? Because everyone's just so different, and, you just have to find a way to see what works best for them and what doesn't.
Right.
What can you tell the youth to stay sharp and, making sure that, they're staying ahead, so then once we go back to how things were, or in a different way, they can jump right into it and just kind of build that momentum from what they've done away from basketball.
Yeah, they just gotta keep a good example. They can go for a run outside, work on the skipping rope, and I know some of the kids are working out at home, and
Yes.
I was just seeing, oh wow, their size has got bigger, and so when they're in shape, endurance, and then when it's time comes, and then they should be ready to go.
Okay, perfect. Well, thank you so much, Coach Tony, for doing this with us, and we hope to have another guest later on, sometime this week or next week, and I'm sure we're gonna keep everyone updated, as we edit our first video, and go on from there. Who knows who we can have on, in the next couple of weeks or months, see how long this lasts, for sure.
Right. Yeah. Before we go, I want to thank you, all the Calgary Storm family, our sponsorship with the East and West College. They're very generous and Great Way Financial. Thank you very much for the sponsorship, and there'll be hopefully we keep doing this to have awareness to everyone.